Hey, what's going on, guys? Mr. Garcia here. Got a video about geometry, section 2, algebraic geometry. So, with the TSI exam, you would see geometry two different ways. One way is by your good old classic formulas. Figure out a length and width, figure out the area, base, height, area, so on and so forth. The other thing will be all about using algebra and those information. So, for example, here in number 1, you got a rectangular community garden. So there you go. Typically, the length would be a number and the width would be a number. Now, those are actual expressions. For example, the length is 3x minus 2. The width is x plus 5. The biggest thing about this stuff is kind of taking your concept and extending it. Like, as a concept, perimeter, all perimeter means is you add up all the sides. So if we know the top part is 3x minus 2, since it's a rectangle, that means the bottom part is also 3x minus 2. Same thing on the other side. Perimeter just means, hey, add up all the sides. So even though we have a bunch of x's, we'll still add up all the sides of this rectangle. Now, the good news is it does work out nicely that we just need to combine like terms. All the x's come together. All the constants or numbers in this case come together. We'll be left with 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 8x. Negative 2 and negative 2 is negative 4. Plus a 10 would be a positive 6, which in this case would be answer choice B. Same idea for number 2. And honestly, when you watch these videos, if you haven't already, take a second. Try it by yourself, right? Don't just rely on the video alone. Use it as a resource. So hopefully you took a second to solve number 2. Same idea, but now it's area. So for area of a rectangle or square, we'll multiply the length and the width together. That means you have a rectangle, you have a length of 2x plus 3, a width of x minus 4. To figure out the area, we said it was length times width, which in this case is 2x plus 3 times x minus 4. Remember, with multiplying, you have a couple different options. One way is to use a box. The other is to do distribution. So let me show both just in case you kind of see the one you like the most. With distribution, all you do is multiply the 2x by both of the parts, and then 3 by both of the parts. So 2x times x is going to be 2x squared. 2x times negative 4, 3 times x, and 3 times negative 4. We then combine some like terms. So in this case, negative 8x and positive 3x combined together. And then we have our 2x squared and negative 12 by itself, which will lead us to answer choice of C. We can do the same thing here, but with the box. So we're still multiplying. And honestly, the box kind of uses this concept of area. Like area, we just said was multiplying the length and the width. So if I was to make this a 2 by 2 box, boom, 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 love to see it. Let's make each of the parts of the boxes the parts of your binomial. Like this is 2x and this is plus 3. The other side is x, and the other side is minus 4. To figure out the area of these boxes, we just multiply. 2x and x get you this box. 3 and x get you this box. Negative 4 and 2x here, and negative 4 and positive 3 here. So you should notice that it does work out to be the same answer. And notice as well that these two here in the middle would also combine together. So the good news is it doesn't really matter how you approach it. It's just whatever preference at that point. Okay, number 3, I think always a good rule is first off, ask yourself, what are they asking for? Area, perimeter. This question, calculate the area. Next thing, is there a formula you know? Area of a rectangle was length times width. Area of a circle is going to be pi r squared. So in this case, we know the area, the formula of a circle is pi r squared. In this question, it's asking what is the area if the radius is 5x. Next step, I would just say write down the stuff that you know and what you're trying to figure out. We know the radius is 5x, and we want to find the area. So thankfully for us, we have a formula for that, and we know the radius, but it is 5x squared, or the radius squared. Be careful, be careful. Do notice it's actually not b, because people would typically square the 5 only. However, this x is also being squared. Remember, that 5x squared is the same thing as like 5x times 5x. So those multiply, and then the x's multiply. So please be careful there. 25x squared pi. Do notice also the last thing on this question. We left it in terms of pi. That means don't get your calculator. Do not type in 3.14. Leave it alone. This did not affect how I calculated the radius whatsoever. It just attached to the very end. So when you're leaving stuff in terms of pi, leave it alone. Just put it at the very end. All right. As always, number 4, if you haven't already attempted it, please try it. This is a trickier one. So pause the video if you haven't. Thank you for unpausing. Volume of a box is x cubed plus 7x squared plus 10x. Man, the height is x. What expression is the area of the rectangular base? Jeez. Well, let's write down what we know. Volume. We know the volume is this. We know the height is this. Which one is the area? So, volume of a rectangular box. Well, it's a box that's a rectangle. That's called a prism. A prism is just a 3D shape with all nice 2D sides and faces. So the volume of any prism is going to be length times width times height. Now the good news here is, hey, they give you the height. They give you the volume. But they're asking for the area of the, whoa. So, I mean, last time I checked, this formula doesn't say area. However, let's think about this. Now, I'm going to try to draw a 3D shape. It's going to be terrible. It's not going to work out whatsoever. But let's all laugh at Mr. Garcia. Wow, I don't even know where to go from here. Oh, and then boom, boom. Wow, that's like not that bad. Okay, all right, we'll pretend like that's a box. Okay, it's a rectangular prism. That means the base is going to be a rectangle. What is the area of the base? Well, if I asked you to figure out the volume of this prism, you would find the length, the width, and then the height. Notice the length and the width is the area of the base. I mean, by definition, you know that since the base is a rectangle, you know the area of a rectangle is length times width. Since your base is a rectangle, it's saying length and width is essentially your area. We took the area of your base shape, which is a rectangle, multiplied by the height, and that represents the volume. So now the good news here is, hey, they give you the volume. The volume is that expression that I'm not going to write down, x cubed plus 7x squared plus 10x. They give you the height, which is x, and they want you to figure out the area, or A. Well, let's plug in what we know. The volume, like we just said, is that x cubed plus 7x squared plus 10x. We don't know the area. That's what we're trying to find. We can say A or area. And we know the height, which is x. So 2 different ways to approach this. One way is by the good old-fashioned math way, which I'll show here in a second. And the other way is kind of using some logic. We're saying, what is the area? Well, what they did was take the area equation, which is one of these four, multiply that area equation by x, and ended up with the answer of x cubed plus 7x squared plus 10x. So effectively, which one of these answer choices can you multiply by x in order to get this volume? Well, probably has to be A. Notice it was x squared, x cubed, 7x, 7x squared, 10, 10x. Add an x or multiply all these by an x, and you get that volume. The other way to approach it is, well, let's solve for area. Right now, it's area times x. I want to get the area by itself. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So let's divide both sides by x. Now on the left side, we're dividing everything by x. That means 3 x's on top, 1 on bottom. One of them cancels, and you're left with just 2 x's. 2 x's on top, 1 on bottom, left with just 1 x. And those x's just cancel, which means that area is that answer choice of A, x squared plus 7x plus 10. Fun question. All right, number 5, a park has a grassy area of x plus 6 and x plus 4 inside a square splash pad with a side length of x. Which expression represents the grass area excluding the pad? So I'll give you a second. All right, so just to clarify, represents the grass area excluding the pad. So they're really saying, hey, what is this area right here? Just this grassy piece. Well, they do give you a bunch of information. I mean, if you didn't know this, right? Area just represents all the space on the inside. So if I was to ask for the rectangle area, all this part would be the area. Now, the question is not asking for all of it. It says, hey, only this grassy piece, so kind of take away this area. So literally, if I had a picture and I was drawing this, I would just take out this middle area, and I'll be left with the answer or the grassy area. I'm saying that to say this. If you want to figure out this grassy region, let's do that, what we just did. Let's take the whole area, and let's take away the splash pad area. So practically speaking, let's find the area of the whole grassy region, so all of it, and then we should subtract the area of the splash pad. I get scared that did it spell splash correct for a second. That would get you the grassy area. So let's figure out the area of the whole thing. We have a width of x plus 4, length of x plus 6. To find area of a rectangle, got to multiply them together. So this is for the grassy area. X plus 6 and x plus 4. If you want to see the individual work, please look at Canvas. But if you were to multiply that out, that would end up with x squared plus 10x plus 24. The splash pad had an area, there we go, of, well, it's length times width as well. So x times x, and x times x just gets you x squared. So we are doing x squared plus 10x plus 24 minus x squared, or the grassy area minus the area of the splash pad. Notice here, thankfully, there's only one thing that cancels out. So the good news is we're left with just 10x plus 24. Now, the good news is, especially if you haven't done these questions already, number 6 is very similar. So we'll give you a second. If you haven't already, try number 6. Thank you for trying. A circular display screen with a radius of x is placed inside a square frame with a side length of 4x. Which expression represents the area of the frame not covered by the screen? So I've seen this question 2 different ways, by the way. I've seen this question, and actually, technically, I'll say that for a later video. I won't go that far in depth. Okay, cool. So same idea. You want to figure out what is this area not covered by that blue circle. So we should figure out, let me do this instead. Boom. We should figure out what is the area of the square, and we should subtract it from the area of the circle. To figure out the area of the square, we do length times width. So 4x times 4x, that's going to be 16x squared. Area of the circle, well, it's pi r squared. That's your formula. But instead of the radius, or instead of r, you replace the r with the x. Because the radius of a circle, if you didn't know already, by the way, it goes from the center out to any side. So that's x, that's also x, that's also x. But in this case, they gave you just that part there. So that is going to be minus pi x squared. We can't really combine these two together too much, but we can just leave it there because that's the answer choice. Just left it by itself. Algebra, geometry, have a good mixture. Be careful. Some of these questions could just be regular. It could say the volume is 24. The height is 2. What's the area of the base? It will still be the same concept. Same thing here. I've seen these questions where it's very similar, but now it's just numbers. So even though this looks more complicated than it actually needs to be, it's the idea of area and volume and these things like that. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. If you have any more questions, be sure to leave me an email, put a comment in the comment section. If not, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Mavericks.